Good morning, and thank you for joining us here at the Inspired Tuber Show. My name is James, and I am here to talk to you about how we can better use the law of attraction in our YouTube channels. I know it's going to be a little weird. This is not the kind of stuff I normally talk about, but it's something that, when I started this channel, I always said I was going to share my journey, my experience. And this is a huge part of me. I've talked about a lot of times about how I'm a very spiritual person. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to believe. I'm not here to challenge what you think about yourself, but I am here to share my journey, to share my experience as a content creator and as a person, as a human being, and the journey I'm on. And so I use a lot of spiritual practices in my daily life. And of course, those things affect how I run my YouTube channel, how I create my content, how I connect with people. And one of the biggest things that's been a philosophy of mine, I've been studying the law of attraction for 30 years. I started in it's really over 30 years. I started in 1994 studying the law of attraction, understanding how these things impact my life and the lives of other people around me. And there's a lot of people that don't understand how this works and how it affects you as a content creator. And so today we're going to actually share some of my experiences and how I see some of these affecting me as a creator, how I see it affecting other people, and how we can use it to create more engagement with ourselves, with our audiences, with the people that we are interacting with, and to grow our YouTube channel. One of the biggest struggles a lot of people say is, why can't I get subscribers? Why aren't people listening to me? Why aren't people watching my videos? And that way of talking is actually part of why they're not. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how you think, how you feel, how you act, and how those things work together to attract or repel subscribers to your channel. How those things work together to create the success or failure that you feel as a content creator, and how your experience of these things can affect you as a content creator. This is the Inspired Tubers show where we help you develop the mindset necessary to be successful as a content creator. We work on the mind, the body, the spirit in our channel. We share everything that we do. Everything on my channel is just about sharing my journey, my experiences, and hoping that it can help you as a content creator to be more successful as a YouTuber, to be more inviting, to be more compelling, and to hopefully engage more people. Now, I've talked about doing this show for probably 2 months. And honestly, I've been scared to do this show because I could drive everybody away. Right now, we don't have anybody watching on the live stream. Hopefully, you're watching this on the replay. But, I've been afraid to share this idea, this way of looking at YouTube because it's way outside the box. It's something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of my journey. And it's not something that I can totally leave out and be authentic and real about how I create my content, because this is one of the things that I do to come up with ideas for content. It's something I do in everything that I do, and how I approach networking, and how I approach other people, and how I approach everything that I do. This is kind of one of the core fundamental philosophies in my life that is an important part of understanding how I grow as a creator and how I serve other people as a creator. So hopefully it doesn't get too weird, but we're going to give it a shot, say what we have to say. If you are here watching, we're seeing a few people showing up on the stream. So go ahead and say hello in the chat if you're here. We're just getting started. For those of you that don't know, we missed last week because our internet was absolutely crazy. We live in just south of Austin, Texas, in Lockhart, Texas, which is just south of Austin. And we had this huge ice storm that covered the entire state of Texas last week. And our internet was in and out. Our power was in and out. Our water was off for a lot of the week. But we survived. We were fine. We saw it coming. Jessica and I knew that this was coming. We were watching the weather, so we were stocked up. We were prepared. We stayed home. We didn't go anywhere. And then Jesse, our toddler, his birthday was Friday. And so Saturday we had some, the weather cleared out Thursday and Friday, and Saturday was really nice. So we had family over, had a few family members, just a small gathering. We didn't want a large gathering because of everything else going on. But we had a few family members that we knew were clear and not sick in any way come over, and we had a little birthday party for him, and he's now 2. So we now have a 2-year-old running around the house. And so that's an exciting part of, what's going on with us. And one of the things that we're doing is, we've been talking over the last 4 months about creating a core base of content for our channel. And one of the things we've been talking about since we started doing the Inspired Tuber show is that there's really 3 kind of key areas of our internal world that we work on: the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. And this is going to dive more into the spiritual things and the spiritual side of how we run our YouTube channel. And I know this might not fit for everybody. So if it's not for you, then I'm okay with that. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not here to challenge your beliefs. Although some of the things I may say may challenge beliefs that you hold and beliefs that you've been taught to believe in. And if so, I think that's an okay thing, because I think we should all challenge beliefs, especially when those beliefs come from other people. Because a lot of the beliefs that you hold, and this is one of the fundamentals of understanding the law of attraction, a lot of the things that you believe in, and so a lot of the things that you experience in the world around you, is because you believe things that other people told you to believe that may or may not be true. And there's a lot of beliefs that we hold inside of ourselves. We get them from our parents, we get them from our churches, we get them from our religious institutions, we get them from schools, we get them everywhere we go. We're getting bombarded, especially as children, and where most of our beliefs are formed is as children, is understanding that these core beliefs. But the thing is we grow up and we still hold these beliefs. They become ingrained in us. They start guiding our decisions. They start guiding our actions. They start guiding the things, the way we think. And so then they guide our philosophies and the way we approach our world. And then so as we become a content creator, those beliefs create the reality in which we face YouTube. And the only way to shift that is start controlling what you believe. And you can reprogram your beliefs. And there's a lot of techniques and strategies. I'm not going to go into a lot of that today, but there's a lot of strategies that if people want to know more about, we can dig into later. In fact, want to know more about how to change beliefs, leave me a comment below after the stream and let me know if you're interested in diving more into how we create beliefs and how to change erroneous beliefs inside of yourself. We can do a whole show on that later on. But the core of understanding the law of attraction and how it affects you as a content creator is that the law of attraction, if you've never heard of it, it's been kind of promoted as such for about the last, 20 years or so. I started studying these principles back in 1994, and I was given a book that was written in the 1920s called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's now a public domain book. It's by Florence Scovel Shinn. You can find it. There's actually videos on YouTube where you can listen to it in audio format. And basically, It's understanding the same principles that's now what we call the law of attraction, which is what we think about and what we align our lives with is what we attract to ourselves. And a lot of people are like, well, I tried to attract this or that and it didn't work. Well, one of the cores of understanding the law of attraction is you have to think about it, you have to feel right about it, and you have to act upon it. And you have to find alignment in all three areas of those things. And it can work for the good or for the bad. The problem is if you have all these unconscious habits, all these unconscious beliefs that we were just talking about, then they can negatively affect you and negatively attract things to you without you even realizing you're doing it. Because most people don't realize that they're actually attracting the failure that they're so frustrated about. Those things that you're so frustrated and struggling to overcome are the very things you're attracting to you by the way you think, by the way you feel, by the way you act, talk, and everything that you do creates the alignment that you need to attract more with you. And so I told you this was going to get weird. This is a weird show and this is not for everybody. And I understand that. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. Um, People may be scared off by me doing this show. This is part of why this kind of content is part of why I tried to put the Inspired Tubers on its own channel, and other people told me I shouldn't. But I wanted to put it on its own channel simply for people that are interested in this kind of content can find it in its own place and leave it off of my main channel. But I had other people convince me to go ahead and put it on my main channel. But the law of attraction basically says what we align ourselves with. And a lot of people teach the law of attraction wrong. There's a lot of people teaching this law of attraction and saying that the law of attraction is what we think about, we bring about, or what we think is what we manifest into our lives. But that's only thought is the first key to manifestation, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. What we think. Hello, Desmond. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us today. This is a weird show. This is where we are talking more outside the box. We're talking about my core, which is law of attraction and spirituality, and how I use those things in my YouTube journey and in making the decisions that I make on YouTube, and how they affect my growth, and they can affect your growth as a content creator. So a lot of people teach the law of attraction is what you think about is what you bring about, and that is not completely true. It is partially true because one of the thoughts are kind of like the engine that drive which way you go. This is your thoughts and how you think is one of the keys to the power behind getting there. But the fuel that fuels the engine is your emotions, how you feel about those things. And you have positive emotions and you have negative emotions, and they kind of run on a scale. And the more you get into the positive emotions, the more you can power those things into being. But the more you focus on the more negative emotions that you feel are kind of more of a drive to highlight areas where you're out of alignment with what you want. Most of the things that I believe. What's my other channel? My other channel, I'm actually not actively putting content on. I haven't been on that channel in about 4 months, but it is the Storage Scavenger. That's one of my many. That's the other one that I share publicly. I've had over the last 10 years about 12 different channels. And some of them have grown fairly large, some of them have stayed pretty small. Storage Scavenger is my primary channel that I was running right before I started this one. That's the one I share the most frequently. Most of my other channels no longer exist. Some of them got deleted for different reasons. This one was actually a different channel years ago, and I just never did anything with it. I just had like 3 or 4 videos on there, and they never really did anything with it. And so I deleted those videos when I started and rebranded it to make it more about YouTube growth. Um, but because I actually created this channel in 2016, I think, is when I created this channel. But I never really did anything with it. It was just kind of stagnant and sitting there for a long time. So getting back to the thoughts, our thoughts do direct where we're going. Our feelings, our emotions are really created by our thoughts. Our emotions are feelings that are really just the waypoint, and it helps us to see the difference between what we want, what we're thinking we want, and the expectations we have and the reality that we face. So if you think about it, if you have an expectation of something going really, really well, and you have an expectation of having something work out really well for you, and it does work out for you, then you're going to feel joyful. You're going to feel excited. You're going to feel a lot of joy. But if you have an expectation of getting something in return, or getting, a good, say you put out a video and you're expecting to get a lot of views, and then it doesn't, you're going to feel disappointment. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel down because your expectation did not meet, or your reality did not meet your expectations. And that's where our feelings come from. And this is one of the things you have to understand. If you're depressed, if you're lowing, all you're doing is feeling a reaction that is the difference between your expectations and the reality that you see in front of you. But these emotions can also help us to see what we don't want and what we do want. And that's really the purpose of your emotions, is to help you realize what it is you're experiencing that you don't want, and it's out of alignment with your purpose and with out of alignment with why you're here. And your positive emotions are more what's going to show when you are in alignment with purpose, with intention, with why you're here. And so, as a creator, when we look at our emotions also drive desperation. If you're negative emotions, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling loud, if you're feeling frustrated, you're going to be taking actions out of desperation. And I did a presentation years ago that I'm working on rewriting it because I can't find the original files where I wrote it several years ago. But it's called Moving from Desperation to Inspiration. And it's about taking this journey of understanding your emotions and understanding that desperation comes from negative emotion and inspiration comes from positive emotion. And when you make that journey from negative emotion to positive emotion, you get better results, and you have a greater opportunity to influence people's lives when you're coming from a place of inspiration. That's why I called this show Inspired Tubers, because I want to help people make this inspired decisions and make decisions that are inspiring to them as a creator, and also making decisions that are inspiring to other people, and making decisions that are going to help you to inspire your audience, as well as being inspired yourself to create better content for your audience. That's what it's all about. You want to really be successful, you need to be inspired and inspire others. It's one of the secrets to success as a content creator here on YouTube. And a lot of people fail to do that. So how do we get there? So I was talking about thoughts, and your emotions. But the third key in this triangle that creates the law of attraction in your life is your actions, your behavior. You always have to take an action to make the law of attraction realized in your life. You have to take an action in order for things to manifest in what you're doing. So when you now the thing is your thoughts, how you are thinking and your emotions, how you feel is going to create kind of this energy vortex around you, and every action you take is going to come from those thoughts and those emotions. And so, one of the things you have to realize is when you are taking action from a place of desperation, from a place uh, of depression or loneliness or feeling upset or jealousy, the actions you're going to take in those lower end emotions and with those negative thoughts is going to be different. Hello, Pia. Did you finish your live? The actions you're going to take in those emotional states and in those lower vibration thoughts is going to be different than the actions you're going to take if you're in the more positive emotions. And so because the actions are different, you're going to bring in different results. And it's funny, I was actually reading an article a few days ago, because I've been studying and practicing stuff with the law of attraction for over 30 years. I started in 1994. And I was reading an article just a couple of days ago that was talking about how the law of attraction is bogus and it doesn't work. And these are the things you need to do instead. And it was all about this process of, you know, being basically the hustle mentality, which is, plan, execute, take action, adjust and all this stuff. The funny thing is, as I read that article, 90% of what it said in that article to do are the exact same things we tell you to do to activate the law of attraction in your life, to activate and to consciously use the law of attraction in your favor. See, the thing is you're already using the law of attraction. It is a natural law, just like you're already using the law of gravity. You may not have to think about the law of gravity, but I guarantee you it is working in your life right this minute. Otherwise, you wouldn't be standing on the ground or sitting in a chair wherever. You would be floating around somewhere if the law of gravity wasn't working in your life. And the same is true for the law of attraction. Whether you consciously think about it and realize it's working for you or not, it is working in your life. I see it every day. The question is, are you working with the law and working with it to create the life that you want for yourself in a deliberate way? Are you working with the law as a content creator to create the content that will attract people to you? Or are you working against the law and that's why you're struggling to grow? Are you trying to resist the law, working unconsciously against the law? And so you're attracting the wrong things to your life. The lack of subscribers. If your thoughts and your feelings are on why don't I have viewers? Why don't I have subscribers? Why are people not watching my content? Then you're going to attract more of not having that because your focus and your attention is on not having it. Your emotions are going to be focused around what you don't have. And as long as you're focused on what you don't have, you're going to attract more of what you don't have into your life. The other thing is desperation and these lower negative emotions come from being self focused. In other words, you're focused on what you don't have, what you're not getting. You're not getting views. You're not getting subscribers. You're not getting all these things. It's very self focused. When you move into the higher level emotions, when you start moving into the higher level thoughts, it's not about you, it's about who do you serve. Whenever we tell people to stop focusing on subscribers, start focusing on serving your existing audience, appreciating your existing audience. The reason I tell you to do these things is the law of attraction, because when you focus on appreciating those of you that are already watching your content, when you're focused on appreciation of the people that are coming to your channel instead of focused on all the people that aren't coming to your channel, when you're focused on how can I better serve you that's already here, you're going to naturally attract more, because what you put your attention on will grow and prosper. And so if you put your attention on not having subscribers, then not having subscribers will continue to grow in your life. Having subscribers, if you focus on the subscribers you have, whether it's 1 subscriber, 10 subscribers, 100 subscribers, you focus your attention on that, and you focus your energy on how may I serve those 10 of you that are here, then that 10 will grow and multiply and grow and grow and grow. You can also attract negative things into your life unintentionally. The other day, we had this big, huge ice storm. I talked about it a few minutes ago at the beginning of the show. So I went to take out the trash, and I stepped out the front door. And as I'm walking out the front door, Jessica says, "Be careful, it's slippery." And so as I walk out the door, my thoughts on it's slippery, this ice is slippery, don't fall. And so I hit the driveway. Guess what happened? I fell flat on my back. Took me several days to get over that because it was quite painful. I attracted that fall to me because my thoughts were in alignment with falling. My thoughts were in alignment with that accident, having that accident, because I was focused on that, because I was scared of falling. So there was emotional energy attached to it. And then I took action by stepping in just the right spot, because I went through that driveway. There was one spot on that driveway that was that slick and had ice, and it happened to be the one spot I stepped. So I attracted slipping and falling. Now, that was a very quick example of the turnaround. Sometimes it works that fast. Sometimes it might be days, weeks, or months before you realize the attraction. That's where sometimes people don't make the correlation, because it might be weeks, days, or months before what you put into your mindset. Part of it's going to depend on how much emotional energy you put into it. That's going to determine how fast it returns to you. So how do you try and suggest to try and change your mindset? There's several ways that influence your mindset, your way of thinking. One, it's about realizing that you think about 6,000 thoughts a day, and you don't attract every single thought into your life. Otherwise, our life would be crazy chaos, right? Because I think about positive thoughts, I think negative thoughts, I have all these thoughts all day long. And I have ADHD, which means my brain is on hyperdrive, and I probably have about 10 times that many thoughts a day. So how do we control that? How do we focus our attention? What you put your attention on. In other words, the thoughts that, not just the thoughts that come and go, but the thoughts that you think the most frequently and that you put the most attention on are the ones that are going to grow. Also, the more emotional intensity you put behind those thoughts is what's going to grow. So as you start to realize that, you start learning how to control and to say, that's a thought that I don't like. We're going to let it go. I use meditation. I've been using meditation since probably about 1996, 97, off and on, really, really consistently in about the last year and a half. Before that, it's been, I do really well for a few months, and then I stop, and then I do really well. Part of it's my ADHD. I've actually gotten to where I actually have an alarm on my phone So I have on my phone, I have an alarm on my phone that says meditate. It goes off every day to remind me to take time to do meditation because I need that reminder. Otherwise, my squirrel brain will forget to do it. And after a few weeks of not doing it, my life turns into a mess. I went through this about a year and a half ago, a little over, or no, it's just right out a year ago. It was in February of last year. And I went into this really deep depression. Part of it was life chaos. We had this COVID go out. My wife was in the hospital. My daughter was sick. We had all this chaos going on. I was struggling with issues with my business. I was struggling with creating content on my YouTube channel. And I got depressed. And part of it was I had gotten away from my daily practice of meditation because I just got so busy I didn't have time to do it. And I spent about 4 months in this deep depression, and what finally helped bring me out of it was starting to get back into my daily practice of meditation. And I've been practicing meditation daily since then. Um, so that's one thing. Another thing is journaling. There's several things. One of the greatest things that you can do to bring more positive energy, more thoughts into your mind is simply appreciation and gratitude. And several years ago, a mentor of mine gave me a task, and I started doing it back then. And I do it to this day, which is a gratitude journal. Every day I sit down, and for my journals, okay, I don't get all fancy. I get these little GTC composition books. I get them for like 88 cents a piece or so during back to school sales, and I buy a whole bunch of them. When we're doing storage units, I find them all the time. I've got a big collection of them now that are blank ones I've picked up out of storage units, and I take any personal stuff that the previous owners had out of it and just use the journals. So that's what, when I say a journal, that's what I use, is these little cheap composition books. But I do journaling in there. And so I have one that I write. This is actually my story journal. I write stories from my life that fit the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel because I use those stories in my videos. But I have another one that's a gratitude journal. And what I do is I sit down for at least 5 to 10 minutes every day, and I write for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Just sit there and write things I'm grateful for in my life. And specifically as a content creator, I write things that I'm grateful for about my YouTube channel, about my business, about the things that are working, and about some of the experiences. One of the things that I found is I started doing this gratitude journal, and one, it helps me to see more things that I'm grateful for, because I have to start, after a few days of this, you got to start really looking for things to write in your journal without repeating the same things over and over again. And I started finding gratitude. This is one of the keys that made a shift in my life, huge shift in my life. I started writing in my gratitude journal the things that I was grateful for that I did not like about my life, because without those things, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I started, and when I started writing that and I started showing appreciation for the things I didn't like about my life, they stopped being as much of a problem. So, gratitude journal, one. Meditation, at least if you've never done meditation, just sit quietly and breathe and do nothing but breathe for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Do that every day. And then after a week or two of doing that, make it 10 minutes. And then once you start doing that, now you're getting used to the act of meditation. Then start doing things like trying to focus on a single thought and try to hold that thought in your mind and just contemplate what that thought means for 5 minutes. How does it make you feel? And is that a positive thought? Is it a negative thought? Is it something that makes you feel good? And I think so much of my journey in my life is inward. You know, one of my greatest prayers, you see right there behind me, is the serenity prayer. I keep that on my wall because I read that every day. It's one of the most impactful things in my life. Part of things to change your mindset is the way you think is what are you putting into your brain? What input? Because, there's this old saying in computer terminology, Pia, that you will know: you go garbage in, garbage out. Well, guess what? Positivity in, positivity out. What are you putting in to your brain? What information are you allowing? This is why I quit watching the news years ago. And my wife gets mad at me. Trust me, I've got my wife who watches everything. So if there's something bad going on in the world, I'm going to hear about it because she's going to make sure she lets me know, even though I've told her not to. But if there's something that's really, really important going on, I'll hear about it. I've got plenty of friends. I'll hear about it on Facebook. I hear about it on Twitter. I will see. But I try to control the input. I quit watching the news. I quit watching the news years and years ago. I don't read the newspaper because they're just there to sell you on something. And, the old saying in the news, if it bleeds, it leads. So they're just there to give you, more um, negative information, really. So I try to instead, I do two things. And a lot of this I do on YouTube. Part of the reason I create content on YouTube is I'm a consumer of YouTube. One, I listen to, like, when I'm doing my meditation, I meditate. I have a lot of YouTube channels. There's hundreds of YouTube channels out there that do meditation music, and I use those when I'm meditating. I put my earbuds in and I will go into that meditation music. The other thing is I listen to a lot of personal development, mindset, law of attraction channels on YouTube. I've been listening to a lot of Jerry and Esther Hicks lately, Abraham. Um, I've listened to Dr. Wayne Dyer. I've been studying Dr. Wayne Dyer's messages in his books and things for. I think I first read his one of his first books that I read was in like 1997 or 98, and it made a huge impact in my life and in my philosophy and the way I done. And since then, I've read everything he ever wrote, and I've listened to every lecture he ever recorded. And there you can find a lot of them or bits and pieces of a lot of them on YouTube. Um, and he passed away a few years ago. I was actually studying a lot of his stuff when he passed away. And Hay House, who published a lot of his content, ran a huge sale, and I got like several of his programs for like, I mean, they were like programs that sold for like $100, $200, and I got them for like $2 or $3. I mean, they were doing like 85, 90, 95% off sales on his stuff when he passed away. So I loaded up. I mean, when they were selling $100 courses for like $3, I was like, I'm all in on buying all that, and I've got it all saved on my computer. So I listen to those positive messages, but then also because I'm a content creator, I do YouTube growth strategies as well. And I do a lot about, other content as well. So I have a bunch of channels that I listen to. You see me in the live stream, you see me, but I listen to those positive messages and, information that's going to help me understand YouTube. Again, it's the input. So it's input that is specifically helping me as a content creator, but also input that helps me more generally with my personal development, with my spirituality, and those kind of things. So those are the kind of the things that I do to control my mindset. Um, and so the other thing is learning to shift how you feel. Remember, and this is something I kind of talked about earlier, your emotions are really the waypoint to help you feel. It's like the fuel that goes into the engine of your thoughts, but it's also a waypoint that lets you know if you're in alignment or not. Hold on just a second. Sorry, wifely interruption there, y'all. All right. So your emotions. Yeah, I muted the mic because my wife interrupted. It should be back on now. Um. So um. Where was I? Oh yeah, our emotions. Our emotions are the powerhouse, but they're also waypoints to let us know. And this is understanding when we get into the spiritual side of things, a lot of this can take hours to explain. Like I said, I'm trying to truncate 30 years of study into, an hour long show here. Um, we have different levels of ourself, and we have what's called the true self, the authentic self. That's the part of ourselves that existed before we were born. It'll exist after we die. Some people call it the spirit or the soul. There's a lot of different names for it. And to me, that's the part of ourselves that is connected with God. That's the part of ourselves that is connected with the spirit world and with the afterlife. And that's the part of ourselves that knows why we were born. We were born with a purpose. We were born with a reason. I don't believe in random acts of birth. I think everybody, every plant, every person, every creature on this planet is here for a reason. Part of our journey is to understand and find what that reason is. And I don't think we ever fully understand it, but we can find alignment with it by going inside ourselves. This is another reason for using meditation, because that meditation practice helps me to connect with the higher, authentic self that existed before I was born, and that has a purpose and knows what my purpose for being born is. So whenever I find alignment with that, what I have found is my emotions are waypoints, are kind of signals from my higher self. Whenever I'm feeling really, really bad or depressed, it's my higher self telling me that I'm out of alignment with my purpose. I'm out of alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And whenever I find alignment, it's part of the reason why I made the switch. See, whenever I started this channel over my storage scavenger channel, I made the switch to this channel. My goal, my intention was to run that channel for at least 2 or 3 years while I started this channel, slowly built it up. And then through meditation and through contemplation and listening to my own emotional states within that and connecting with my authentic self, I realized this channel is where I needed to be. This channel is what I needed to be focusing my time and attention on. And so I made a shift, and I haven't been on the storage scavenger in 4 months because of that. It wasn't intended to be that way when I first started this channel, but I made that switch because that's kind of where I felt, by listening to my emotions, where I needed to go, where I needed to be, what I need to be creating content on. And this show, well, this is where I'm going with it. I'm trying to get there, Pia. You're jumping a little ahead of me. So this show came out of that. This show, this content that I'm creating on mindset, emotional healing, spirituality, and it's going to take me multiple shows. I'm not going to get to all of it today. Again, I'm trying to truncate 30 years of studying and working and learning how this stuff works. And I can't just share it all in just a short show here. But basically, making that shift comes from connecting with your true self, getting all the garbage and all the false beliefs that we have that came from outside of ourselves. Well-meaning people gave us false beliefs. Our parents, teachers, spiritual leaders, other people have given us false beliefs throughout our whole lives. They've told us what to believe through most of our childhood, and we believed them because they're our parents, they're our elders, they're the ones that taught us to believe this stuff. They should know better because they're older, right? They're older and wiser, but that's not always the case. And sometimes they're well-meaning, they're well-intentioned, but they're out of alignment themselves. And people that are out of alignment can't help you find alignment. So that's where I start listening to and learning from other people that have found that alignment. So it depends on what area of your life too. There's different strategies and different techniques. One of the things that I've recently learned, and I just started using this technique, so I really haven't seen the full effects of it yet. I started seeing some effects of it, um, but I'm still just starting to use this technique myself. But it's called a focus wheel. And with a focus wheel, you take a piece of paper and you draw a circle in the center and you put your intention, what you think about, what it is that you want to bring about in your life in the center of that focus wheel. And then on the spokes of the wheel, you want to write out a statement that is a positive statement of intention. And what we mean by a positive state is think, how would you feel if this were already true in your life? What would it cause? Think from the end. One of my great mentors, one of my great teachers was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the things that he said was begin with the end in mind. So when you do this focus wheel, this is what you're doing. You're thinking from the end. You're thinking from as if it already existed in your life. This is how I would feel. This is what would be happening. This is who I would be serving. So if you write, say, for example, say, my intention is to have $10,000 a month in income from my YouTube channel. How would you feel having that $10,000 a month? Who would you be serving? How would you be able to help people? What would you be able to do that you can't do because you don't have that income right now? You would be able to. So write those things out and write them in present tense as if it was already real on this focus wheel. And then you hang it on your wall where you can see it every single day. So it's a technique I'm just starting to use. I'm liking it so far. That's one of those things to help bring you into alignment. Again, part of it is just learning to listen. A lot of us don't learn how to listen. One of the first principles that one of my teachers taught me 20 years ago was listening is more than just hearing. Listening is something you do with all of your senses, and it's as much an inward journal as an outward journey. So we listen inward and outward. We have to listen to other people and to our environment and other things outside of ourselves, but we also have to learn to listen to ourselves. Your body tells you when things feel right. Your body will tell you when things are in alignment, when things are feeling good, when things are feeling bad. Your emotions tell you when you're in alignment with your purpose. Again, this is why I was talking about listening to your emotions, because negative emotions, and the further down the scale of a negative emotions that you go, the further out of alignment you are. So you have this scale from boredom down to depression and of all the negative emotions, and all your negative emotions, anger, rage, fear, uh, hatred, they all fit into this scale. And the further down that scale are, the further out of alignment with your purpose, your intention is. The further up the scale of positive emotions you're feeling in that moment. It's a moment by moment thing. It's not something you reach and stay at. It's something that we go through these cycles. It's part of life. It's the cycle of life. You go through these cycles and through this dichotomy of emotions, but you can listen to your different emotions at different times, and you can move yourself with thought and intention along that front by changing the thoughts. Again, emotions are just feelings attached to a thought. So if you don't like the feeling, change the thought. So change the thought to a better thought that's more higher up the scale. And you might be depressed. Like, you have the lowest level is depression, hopelessness. That's like the lowest level of emotion is depression and hopelessness. The second level up is anger. And a lot of people are like, oh, you don't want to be angry, which I agree. I don't like being in anger, but anger is higher than depression. It's higher than hopelessness. So if you're at hopelessness and you get angry, that's a good thing because you moved up the scale. And then you want to continue moving up the scale and move through those emotions, move past those emotions and into the positive emotions. And once you get into the neutral zone of emotions, which is kind of where I put boredom, it's kind of at the bottom end of the neutral zone, and inner peace and quiet and calm is at the upper end of the neutral zone. And that's kind of where you make that transition between positive and negative emotions, is in that neutral zone. But I see a lot of people that are like, oh, we just want to think positive thoughts. We just want to have positive, happy thoughts. But that's unrealistic. It's a magnet. You're like a magnet. And if you've ever seen a magnet, I want you to go find a magnet that still has this magnetism, that has a North Pole and doesn't have a South Pole. It doesn't exist, because if it has the North Pole and not the South Pole, it's no longer a magnet. It loses its ability to attract. So if you have this range of emotions and you have this North Pole, which is all the positive emotions, and you have the South Pole, which is all the negative emotions, and you go along that line of emotions all the time. But the more positive emotions are, the more alignment you are in with your source, with your intention, with why you were born, with that true self. The more higher up the scale, and at the top of the scale is unconditional love, joy, and appreciation. That's why I said we go on these gratitude journals, and these gratitude journals bring you up closer to that higher point, because appreciation is one of the highest levels of emotional scale. So appreciation, joy, and unconditional love are at the very top. So that's why we want to focus on trying to feel more of that. Joy, unconditional love, and appreciation are the top three emotions on the emotional scale. So if you can feel more of that, that means you're right at perfect alignment with your purpose, with your intention, with why you were born. And as a content creator, so whenever I meditate, that's where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to find that alignment, working myself into that place. And that unconditional love, that appreciation for my subscribers, by being joyful about the process of creating content, not the results I get, by focusing on finding joy in the process of creating, finding joy in the process of editing, in the process of scripting, in the process. And by doing that, then I find more inspiration. Because when you find that alignment, then your true self is working with you to create the content. You become a co-creator of the content. I've seen people that ask me sometimes, why do I, when I'm creating content, why do I sometimes use plural? So if you listen to me, sometimes I'll be talking about, we are glad you're here today. Thank you so much for joining us here, even though I'm here by myself. And people are like, where's this plurality? Why are you saying we? Why are you saying us? Why are you saying the plural? Because whenever I get into alignment with my true self, it's more than one. Because I'm then accessing not only my true self and my higher self, but my higher self is also connected with the collective consciousness of everyone that's come before me and everyone that comes after me. This is getting into the higher levels of consciousness and higher levels of thinking and higher levels of spiritual consciousness. Whenever you get to that place, you become one, and you become a co-creator with them, with all those that came before you, become co-creators in bringing these ideas into the world. See, I believe that every thought, every idea, everything that's ever been taught still exists in one place. And whenever you connect with your true self, you can tap into that and you bring that into the content you create. Whenever I'm deciding on articles, I watched an interview the other day on a spirituality channel, and they were asking them, well, do you meditate on your content and what you do for your content. And he said, well, I still use TubeBuddy for keyword research. Meditation has never given me the right keywords to target. And I agree with that. I still go through those processes. I teach all those processes. Those are things I do. But I do get content ideas. I get content topics through that meditation, through that practice. And I know what the next pieces of content I'm going to create are because I've already meditated and contemplated and said, how do they feel? And I already kind of know what they're going to say. And that's why I'm like here, you know, and I do some planned out content. And sometimes I do content that's just me coming on and pressing live and just talking from my heart and my experience and saying, this is something I believe in and answering people's questions. Like this show here, this show was not planned. It was planned in, I knew what I was going to talk about, but I had no outline. I had no run of show. I know this stuff so well. I can sit here. If somebody were to call me and say, hey, we have this opening in our conference, can you come talk for an hour, and this is the topic we want you to talk about, I could do it because I've been studying this stuff for so long. I can talk about it for hours at a time. But I go into that place of meditation and I know what I need to talk about. Sometimes I even know how it's going to go. I already kind of see what the video layout's going to look like. I know exactly what the scenes, and it's kind of just like going through the motions to actually create the video because I've already seen the video. And in my mind and in my thoughts and in my beliefs, the video's already made because I've already seen it. I'm just going through the process and going through the motions of bringing it into existence. One of the things that Dr. Wayne Dyer taught, and he actually did a class with Hay House on how he did this. And it was part of a writer's workshop that I went through with them when I was learning how to write books. But he taught this method of one of the things that he always taught was that God writes all the books, God gives all the speeches. He's just the vessel that God uses to create. And that's the way I look at it. God creates all the videos. I'm just the vessel being used to create them and to bring them out to people. And so whenever I go into meditation and I connect with the higher levels of myself and on my higher emotions, then I can get that inspired in spirit and get inspired on what to create next, what to create for the audience, how to find the audience. Sometimes I get inspiration on going to a specific channel. I had a channel a year and a half ago. I was not even planning on being online. We were sitting around watching TV, and I was like, I wonder how this channel is doing today. I know they were doing a live, and it just came out of nowhere that I needed to go to their channel. Well, I went to their channel and they opened up their panel for viewers to come on the panel. And so I did. And we were talking. I had just recently met the channel owner and we were talking about reselling business, and I was doing storage auctions and he was thinking about getting into storage auctions. So I was telling him kind of my experience with it. I was a total newbie at the time. So I prefaced it with saying, we're new to this, but this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. And we mentioned that I had a YouTube channel as well that we were doing. And so he had one of his mods drop a link to my channel, and then he had some other people come on. Well, other people that came on were also storage auction channels, and I got in conversations with them, and one of them invited me to come to his place and do a collaboration. I had less than 100 subscribers. He had 10,000. I didn't seek out the collaboration. I followed an inspiration to even go to the live stream. I followed that inspiration further when they made the opportunity. I took advantage of it to jump on the live stream, and I made a connection with somebody who's now one of my friends. And we've collaborated more than once. And because of that, we were able to kickstart growing our channel. That's how my storage scavenger started taking off and started growing, was through that collaboration. I went from having 25 subscribers to a week later I had over 300, all by filing one inspiration and then just following through on it. So this stuff works. This stuff can help you grow your channel. You have to listen. There's a lot of people that'll look at my channel and say, you've only got 120 subscribers. What do you know? You don't know anything about how to grow on YouTube. Well, one, this isn't my first rodeo on YouTube. I've grown multiple channels. I'm fairly new to this one. That's okay. I'm actually almost done. This is an hour-long show, and I just crossed the hour mark. So we're going to go for a few minutes and kind of wrap things up. But, the inspiration comes from finding alignment with your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical actions. You have to take physical action, but you want to take inspired action, not desperation action. You want to take action that's from connecting with your source and getting an intuition and then taking action on that. It's not about just sitting around thinking thoughts and all of a sudden everything magically happens. But what'll happen is you'll get a thought, you'll get an idea to go somewhere, you'll get an idea to do something, and then you take very focused and intense action in the right direction. And when you do that, it doesn't necessarily manifest itself immediately. That's one of the other things especially when you're just starting out, doing this stuff and being able to consciously use these rules and be able to work with these things is a skill. And you've spent your entire lifetime learning how to avoid this skill. And now you have to learn how to actively use it. So you have to undo some bad habits and then learn a new skill set, and this is one of the things. Like earlier, I actually have some video footage that I'm going to be using as B-roll in a video where I'm using the same example later, so it's on the top of my head. I'm teaching Jesse, who's our 2-year-old, how to catch. And so, whenever I start teaching him how to catch, he didn't catch the ball the first time I tossed it to him. He didn't catch the ball the second time I tossed it to him. We didn't give up. We didn't quit because it didn't work the first couple of times. We adjusted our strategy. We adjusted the way we're doing it. We also made it easy for him to be able to succeed. So we found an easy, simple way. We didn't focus on, go long and I'm going to show you this Hail Mary pass and you're going to catch it the first time. No, that's not what we did. But this is what people do when they try to use the law of attraction. They try to throw a Hail Mary and they expect to catch it on the first try. So instead, think about this. Do something small. Do something simple. And learn how the process works. And then do something a little bit bigger. And then do that a few times until you get comfortable with that skill. And then you do something a little bit bigger. When I'm teaching Jesse how to catch, I had him standing like right up next to me and I almost just placed the ball in his hand the first few times. And he put his arms out and I gave him the ball. And then we celebrated. Yay, you got the ball. We always celebrate. You got to celebrate the small victories. You got to celebrate those small wins because that's what's going to make it joyful for you. That's what's going to make it more positive experience for you. And then you go and you step back. And I have him step back just a little bit. And now we kind of just lightly toss the ball to him. And he puts his arm out. And it lands perfectly in his arms. And he pulls it in. And yay, we celebrate. And then sometimes he puts his arm out, but he pulls his arms apart. And so the ball falls right through and it misses. And we still celebrate because he tried. So we want to keep it positive, but we keep trying. Let's try it again. Let's do it again. We also always, when he and I are playing catch, we always end on a victory. So we don't end when there's nobody there. We don't end when he drops the ball and gets frustrated. we keep going until he's catching the ball 2 or 3 times and we're in a celebratory mode so that when we end the game, he's on a win. So those are just some of the ideas of bringing that alignment. Bring your thoughts, start listening to your emotions, start using your emotions to power your thoughts, the thoughts that you do want. The more powerful the emotion, the more you're going to power that thought into vibration. And then doing it more and more and doing it the same thing. For example, you think of thought that is something that you want to bring into your life. So, for example, as a creator, you want more subscribers. Write down how many subscribers you want. How many subscribers do you want? Because however many you write on that piece of paper, you're already connected with that number of people. If you want your 1,000 subscribers, then write down 1,000 subscribers. And you might start small with this channel. About the 1st of January, I wrote down 100 subscribers on a piece of paper by the end of the month. And at the time, I was only at like 50. And I hung it up on my wall. And I set this intention to bring in my first 100 subscribers by the end of the month. I was at 120, by the way. Think about that. We put out for 100 and we had 120. I also haven't been focused on subscriber growth. I've been focused on getting the core content out, but I wanted to at least get my 100 subscribers so I could get my custom URL done. And so we did. But again, we put forth the intention. We connected with a positive emotion about it. We took action that was inspired action. We had a feeling to go to this channel or go to that channel, get up on this live stream, talk to these people, create this video, and it brought in. Share this video on this Facebook group. Why? Because something in my gut, I had a group on Facebook I never shared videos to, but I had an instinct that said I needed to share in that group. So I did. I got 10 subscribers through sharing on that one group on one video. And it was a group I normally don't share to, but I had this feeling, and those subscribers are still coming to our shows. They're still watching some of my live streams. They're still watching and commenting on my other videos. So I know they didn't just subscribe and then disappear. They're actually being active viewers on my channel. So again, you've got to attract the right audience. You've got to connect with the right people. And I know doing this topic is going to connect with some people, and some people are going to find it interesting and fascinating. And some people are going to find it and think I'm absolutely insane and unsubscribe from my channel. And I have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. With every piece of content you put out, you have to be willing to piss off your entire audience and have them all unsubscribe and never watch your channel again. Because that's when you're going to get authentic. That's when you're going to get real. When you stop caring about what other people think and you start caring more about this is what my intention is leading me to do. And you're creating for the sake of creating and not for the sake of the audience. Yes, you want to serve the audience with everything you do. You want to provide valuable information that they can apply to their lives. I hope I've been able to provide a few techniques and a few things that you can do to apply this to your life through today's video. But the more you seek to serve, while at the same time not caring if anybody cares, not caring if anybody watches, not caring if anybody subscribes to your channel, letting go of that and focusing on I showed up to serve. And that was the most important part of me doing this video. When that becomes your priority, you have unlimited potential to not only change your life, but the lives of other people. But as long as you're making content to please other people, as long as you're trying to create content that pleases the audience and that pleases this group of people, that doesn't piss off this person over here. If you're creating content that way, then you're creating content from the wrong place. And if you really start feeling about it, you might even be like, I don't know how many times I've seen somebody, I'm creating this video and I really don't like doing this video, and I don't want to do this video, but my audience is asking for this video. If you feel negative about creating a video, don't create that video. Every video you create should come from a place of inspiration. It should come from a place inside of you that says, I have to create this video because I feel like I will be disservice to my audience if I don't. I will be doing a disservice to the people watching my channel if I don't make this video for them. If you feel that passionate about what you're doing, then you will be creating content that has the ability to impact people's lives. I hope that this has been exciting for you. It's been exciting for me. If you want to support the show, you can check right here, buy me a coffee. The link is also down in the description below. We appreciate you guys watching our show and listening into what we have to say. Oh, Dragon Value, you got to drop in just as we are ending the show. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We just had a great show. I've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. We were actually fixing to sign off. It's 11:45 here. We started at 10:30. Go back and watch the replay. We talked about some out there ideas. I don't know how people are going to react to it, but if y'all like this show, if you like the information that we're sharing, make sure you leave us a comment and give us a thumbs up. We love you guys. Keep growing. This is something that I want to share every show. Remember, progress beats perfection. It's not about winning everything, and it's not about being the best. It's about being your best and showing up and continuing to grow. Every day, be better than you were before, and eventually you're going to grow and you're going to be successful as a content creator, as a human being, and as a person. And I think you're already a great person. If you weren't trying to be a better person, you probably wouldn't be watching a show called The Inspired Tubers Show. So that tells me that you want inspiration, you want to grow, you want to learn. I hope that this helps you find more inspiration for your content. If so, leave me a comment below, and we will see you next week, every Wednesday, 10:30 p.m. right here on James Pruitt. Y'all have a fantastic night.